is written in 3 stanzas. The stanza first of the poem begins as: Go and catch a falling star. Get with child a mandrake root. Tell me where all past years are, or who cleft the devil's foot. Teach me to hear mermaids singing, or to keep off envy stinging, and find what wind serves to advance an honest mind. The poem begins with a strange command, a strange order, that go and catch a falling star. This is only the first of a list of impossible things that the speaker demands of his listener. So here we can see there is an abrupt beginning of the poem. No introduction is given here. Abruptly, the poet or a person orders the listener. The speaker asks the listener to catch a falling star in the sky or impregnate a mandrake root, find the past and return it to the present, or to discover why the devil has cloven feet. Similarly, the listener is commanded to hear mermaids singing. Possibly there is a reference to the sirens of Greek mythology who were actually half fish. It was impossible. Even Odysseus was also not capable of hearing the siren song or survive. So it is an impossible task given to the listener. Other impossible commands include finding a cure for the sting of envy, or what wind exists that can help an honest mind to get on in life. He advises the reader, or as this is a song, the listener, to perform a series of impossible tasks. So, if we look in this stanza, there are 7 impossible tasks. First one is go and catch a falling star. Second, get with child a mandrake root. Then, tell me where all past years are. Then, fourth thing, who cleft the devil's foot. Fifth, teach me to hear mermaid singing. Sixth, to keep off envy stinging. And the final impossible task, that is seventh task, is find what wind serves to advance an honest mind. So in the first stanza we have seen the list of 7 things which are impossible to perform. Stanza second of the poem begins as: If thou best born to strange sights, things invisible to see, ride 10,000 days and nights till age snow white hairs on thee. Thou, when thou returns, wilt tell me all strange wonders that befell thee, and swear nowhere lives a woman true and fair. In the second stanza, the impossibilities continue. If the listener was born with power to see mysterious and invisible things, the speaker continues, then he should go on an impossibly long quest of 10,000 days until he has become an old man and his hair has gone white. When he comes back from his journey after 10,000 days, he will have all kinds of stories about the magical things he saw, but he will swear that among them all he never saw a woman who was both faithful and beautiful. In other words, if women are fair or attractive, they will not be true. So here we can see in this stanza, the poet has used hyperbole. Ride 10,000 days and night continuously till age no white hairs on thee. So it is the example of hyperbole. An exaggerated statement is given here. Next, our last stanza of the poem. If thou find'st one, let me know such a pilgrimage was sweet. Yet do not, I would not go. Though at next do we might meet, though she were true when you met her, and last till you write your letter, yet she will be false, or I come to 2 or 3. The final stanza states that if the listener do manage to find a woman, because he is having an exceptional power, so if he is capable to find a woman who is both faithful and beautiful, he should tell the speaker about that woman. It would be a wonderful to journey to meet that woman. It will be like a pilgrimage. It will be like a journey to a holy place. But no, then speaker changes his mind. He would not go to meet this imaginary woman even if she lived next door. Because even if she were faithful when the listener met her and stayed faithful long enough for the listener to write the letter describing her to the speaker, she would inevitably have cheated on two or three lovers by the time the speaker go to meet her. So in this poem we have seen that poet is talking about women inconstancy. According to John Donne, a woman who is beautiful and faithful, it is impossible, it is not possible. In some other poems of John Donne, we have seen that he is talking about um, the love or the beauty of his beloved, but here he is just reversing the point and talking about women infidelity. So the poem reflects cynic attitude of the poet John Donne. Thank you.